Okay, a lesson for the psychology. Mr. The approach the approach has psychology develop and prescribe drugs such as at the middle levels of explanation. Therapy is helping individuals cope with negative life experiences, depression, and the highest level psychology difficulties, depression between women and across culture, psychology disorder, including depression, women and men, and higher in West culture such as in Japan, as mine, the one of explanation, everything, levels of explanation from culture, essential for understanding human behavior. Understanding, attempting to alleviate cause of psychological disorders such as depression, pose are difficult posed by doctor, chemists, psychologists, and other certainties and more blah 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 level of explanation underlying process. Example: lower biological depletion in generative influence, depression influence action, middle interpersonal what could them to negative talk about combat depression higher culture and social and expression historical periods. A measure of psychology predicts behavior by understanding its cause. For instance, depression variations psychology vascular expression dramatically among people. Some of people experience major events, whereas other people expression chapters to come include difference in extroversion, intelligence, association, anxiety, evaluation, and conformity made by psychological and most of society are more probability intelligence test in average do better. Uh, which then people who saw score lower at the same test, but we cannot make very accurate prediction and actually one person will perform. Another reason that is difficult to predict behavior is that one almost all behavior is multiplied, determined or produced by manufacturers, and these factors occur at different levels of explanation. We've seen some instances that depression is caused by lower level genetic factors by many produce manufacturers factors and cultural factors. You should anxiety depression in single user pinpoint present from another nutrition brain resulting as a result of deterministical exploration, studying psychology, human behavior caused by factors that outside our conscious impossible individual to really Australian further urged that many biopsychological process is contrary of study vectors. Psychology, scientific study and behavior always is a good prediction of they thinking they are. The highest bet list we could have a predict events that we could have not predictable. Psychological list scientific method collects or interpret evidence, the accumulate knowledge because they are multiply determined and of different explanation. The evaluation of psychology history approach and question. In this case, in section will review the history of psychology or focus on the important question, important psychology summarized table, physiologicals extending the present day. The most people approaches psychology contributed to be filled is possible in chapter. The approach is the psychologist access the issue they can change dramatically toward the objective scientific approach as a technology available to study behavior as improved psychologists psychological organs as a woman. Statisticalism is the method of the person, the basic elements. Functionalism attempts to understand animals and humans. That early child psychologists focuses on role of the unconscious and feelings and expressions, behavioralists based on the premier state, the psychology study of process perception during social culture and cultures people for themselves and thinking behavior. French psychologist, English psychologist, German psychologist, center by all the psychology, dramatical history, important nature versus nature, environment, and determining the agree the play crucial behaviors, preparations, and difference of the characters when people chapters to become, for example, hereditary intelligent very nature as to sculpture concerns that in external will able to behavior most of punish criminals we behave have choice and behaviors appears enough to make world around the emotion judgment when affected by desires get gain material ourselves and positively emotional to the events that happens to behavior determined by behavior makes of the aware difference economic cultures after people all generally attempt to this classification. Early psychological theoretic philosophy, knowledge innate, as Aristoteles, the learning experiences. European philosophy during Renaissance for existence for nature abilities, as well as a philosopher, the mental of the body, psychological life, believed in representable on the other issues, study human issues, dramatic came during William James, psychology at Harvard University, speculations, the awareness, objectivist expressions, elements, sensations, periods after they had recently created in chemistry method misleading might report, for instance, that people longer to something that simply reported that all the sound, the studies for the researchers, cognitive psychology, university in visual inspection and synchronicity made to various sites and could have easily how did they the structures were first to present and report all of the expression William